What is up, everyone? Tommy with Studio Sense here. Happy that you took some time out of your busy day checking out today's video, because no doubt you're starting to think about the coming holidays and the buying gifts for people. And you know, fragrance is quickly becoming one of the more popular gift ideas for the men in your life or for yourself. So I've got some alternatives to some popular Oriental spicy fragrances that you just might find extremely exciting, not only to save you money, but potentially some heartache and time as well. So when we come back, I've got 5 alternatives to some very popular spicy Oriental fragrances out there. That and more is coming your way, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. Thanks again so much for your views and your time. 2 things that I really well, 3 actually: your views, your time, and your opinions, obviously, in the comments below. Today's video is all about actually saving you money and saving you time with 5 popular fragrance alternatives to some really spicy Oriental cool other fragrances out there that are gaining in momentum, gaining in popularity, but are sometimes hard to find, or when you do find them, you're like, whoa, that's kind of a chunk of change to pay for something that I'm either not familiar with, or that, you know, I got to take the word from someone else that is really good in terms of quality and aroma. So let's check out these alternatives, and you can decide for yourself whether it might be a viable alternative for you. The first fragrance that I want to take a look at from Paco Rabanne in the Invictus line, it is Victory. The V for Victory. Didn't have a lot of expectation for this fragrance going in, but I was quite surprised at how good and pleasant of a spicy fragrance it is. It opens with that typical kind of fruity, ebullient lemon, pink pepper, but then in the heart, you've got a combination of frankincense and vanilla, which is epic combination. That's really when it starts hitting home as a very warm, very inviting and appealing and crowd-pleasing spicy Oriental fragrance. I said frankincense and vanilla. I meant frankincense and lavender in the heart. There is vanilla, but it's in the base. It's along with like amber and tonka bean. And of course, that's where the real sweetness and the power of the fragrance comes into play. Starting out with that very cool, darker, richer incense, going into the warmer amber. In the confines of the Victory formula, you find this kind of spicy Oriental freedom, but it's also $90 for a 100 ml bottle. Is there an alternative that might be equally as pleasing, that might be a bit more affordable? The fragrance to which I'm referring is Lalique's White and Black. When this first came out, I bought it at full retail. Similar to Victory, didn't have a lot of expectations going in, but was quite surprised at the quality. Now, you just have to look at the 3 Ancre Noir fragrances and several other offerings from Lalique to know that they're very niche-like quality for a designer. This follows that same ideology of very high quality but very inexpensive fragrance. Super accessible, extremely wearable, has that same spice path of lavender, vanilla, amber, tonka, but again, the focus is on the spice just a bit more than the sweetness. Paco Rabanne's a little bit more about the sweet in Victory. This also has a good bit of ambroxan, which modernizes it a bit more, and it's only about $45 as opposed to around $90 for Invictus Victory. Fantastic alternative to Invictus Victory, Lalique White and Black. And again, you may turn out to like it even better. Recently, I talked about a quality gourmand offering from Pepe Jeans of London. Black is now for him. Black is now for him, if you can find it, is a great inexpensive find. Here in the US right now, if you click on Google Shopping, type in Black is now for him, Pepe Jeans of London, you'll come up with one website that's selling it for about $50. The idea for this particular alternative isn't necessarily saving you money, but to save you time, because there is a fragrance that's very similar to this, in fact, just a bit better and just a bit less on the sweet side, but is equally enjoyable, is a fragrance by Ralph Lauren in the Polo line of fragrances. It's Polo Red Extreme. It's definitely the best Polo fragrance for cooler weather, and in comparison with Black is Now is very similar. The primary focus for this is, of course, blood orange in the open. You've got coffee in the mid, and the base is all about that ebony wood. It's a drier, more aldehydic experience. There's a bit more notes in here, of course, than are the notes that are published, but it's similar in terms of the coffee, but again, just not quite as sweet. You're going to pay just a bit more for this, maybe $10-20, but not a drastic difference. The big difference in the two is that this is easy to find. This one not quite so easy to find. Unless that changes in the near future, you might want to just check out Polo Red Extreme as an alternative to Peppy Jeans of London's Black Is Now For Him. But again, if you could find Black Is Now For Him, of course monetarily this is going to be a little bit less until the price goes up. That's only going to happen if it becomes impossible to find or is discontinued. But right now, for you coffee lovers out there and for myself, it's going to be Polo Red Extreme for the coffee style fragrance. Another high quality cool weather fragrance that is very popular for men out there is by Givenchy. It is Givenchy Gentleman. The Eau de Parfum represents a kind of quality of fragrance that will punch through layers of clothing and give you the kind of sillage and scent trail that you want in cool weather. It is just altogether a great cold weather fragrance, and it does have that really nice heavier iris note. But if you're looking for a cheaper alternative to Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum, it's close to 90 to 100 bucks for a 100ml bottle. The one that I suggest by Salvatore Ferragamo in the Uomo line is Uomo Signature. Note for note, there's really no comparison between the two in terms of smell, but there is a very definitive similar quality. It doesn't necessarily have that whole iris note, but if you were to spray Uomo Signature on your right hand and Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum on your left, for the first 20 minutes, they're very similar. They're a little bit different in the dry down because this is more of a darker, richer, like coffee, gourmand kind of fragrance, whereas Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum is more of a darker, richer, lightly dry, iris-centered fragrance. But essentially, the fragrances are going for the same Shangri-La, and they attain that same kind of feel and that same kind of overall tonal quality. You can get a 100ml bottle of Uomo Signature for about, which is a great deal as opposed to the $90 Givenchy Gentleman Eau de Parfum. The next fragrance I'd like to present an alternative to is one that is kind of hard to find, and if you do find it, you're probably looking at an eBay price of this. Yes, Pulse of the Night is extremely hard to find, and when you do find it, it is very expensive. Such a wonderful cold weather fragrance, a truly brilliant winter fragrance, but definitely wearable spring, fall, winter. It's more of an overall masculine incense oriental fragrance. But there is something relatively similar to Pulse of the Night that's easy to find and inexpensive, especially when you compare it to current eBay prices, and it's a fragrance by the German house of Joop. It is Joop Homme Absolute. While again not comparing the aroma note by note because it's not exactly the same as Pulse of the Night, there really isn't anything that's exactly like Pulse of the Night unless you're looking for an actual clone of the fragrance. If you want to get something that's relatively close to that masculine incense territory, yet has its own profile, Joop Homme Absolute is a great alternative. It's got black pepper, ylang-ylang, tonka bean, tolu balm, frankincense. It too focuses on that darker, richer masculine heart with a little bit of a floral flourish that represents more of that Joop creativity and that DNA that you're used to, but it's extremely likable and extremely wearable, specifically in cooler weather. But also the caveat to Joop Homme Absolute is that unlike Pulse of the Night, you can actually wear this in a little bit warmer climes, a little bit warmer weather. So it's got just a bit more versatility, and of course the price, you can get a 125ml bottle for under 50 bucks. So definitely give Joop Homme Absolute a try. Last of the 5 high-quality Oriental spicy fragrances for men that I'd like to recommend an alternative to is a fragrance by Paco Rabanne in the Pure XS line. Pure XS Night has long been a wonderful, sweet, gourmand, fantastic, seductive, yet masculine fragrance for men. I really enjoy this fragrance. It's one of my favorite date night fragrances that I keep in rotation, but it's getting harder and harder to find as time goes by. When you go to check out your favorite discounter online, often you will find this instead of an actual stock of them. And then when you do find a stock of them, it's usually a 50ml bottle for a price that you don't necessarily want to pay, because the smaller amount, of course, you're paying a higher per ounce rate. But there's an interesting alternative that I would like to recommend in lieu of Pure XS Night. It isn't obviously the same quality, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this recommendation is exactly a note-for-note representation of Pure XS Night, nor is it better in quality, but it does remind me of it. It is reminiscent of it, and I think you might have that same experience when you give it a try, and that is Perry Ellis Midnight. Now this is a relatively new flanker for the Perry Ellis signature line of fragrances, and Perry Ellis Midnight is the date night, nighttime version of the DNA. Now, Midnight's a very simple fragrance. It's a very linear fragrance. It's not deep, it's not intelligent, it doesn't have or do any olfactive tricks or anything of that nature. So what you smell is what you get. You know, what you get in the open, it's pretty much what you get in the dry down. This has the same kind of nighttime linear usage as does Pure Excess Night, and it has that same sweet tonal quality that you'll find in Pure Excess Night. However, with Pure Excess Night, as time goes by and as it dries down, you can start picking out the actual notes that make up the formula. You can't really do that in this. It's just this linear, sexy kind of sweetness, basically, and that's what you get in Perry Ellis Midnight. However, you're only looking at about 30 bucks, 33 bucks for a 100 ml bottle. Instead of Pure Excess Night, give Perry Ellis Midnight a try. You might be quite surprised. Well guys, that's it for my recommendations today. I think you'll find that these 5 alternatives to these other 5 popular men's fragrances are equally as enjoyable as the original 5. And if you can't find the fragrance that you're looking for, you know, Pulse of the Night is really nearly impossible to find at a good rate. Pepe Jeans of London Black as Now is getting harder to find, then check out these alternatives. I think you'll enjoy both the aspect of the familiarity to the original popular fragrance and the fact that it stands on its own as its own kind of offering. These are all very solid fragrances. If you already own them, the originals and the recommended alternatives, let me know what your thoughts are on each, which one is your favorite. And if there are other fragrances out there that you have found a really good, very similar fragrance to, let us know what those are in the comments below. Thanks so much though for stopping by and checking out today's video, and as always, thank you so much for your support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.